Okay, so are you ready for this?
Always.
Let's take a deep dive today
All right.
into
Deep dive into what?
homeostasis.
Ooh, homeostasis.
Yeah.
One of my favorite topics.
I think it's going to be really fascinating.
Yeah.
And we've got some really cool notes to go off of today
Okay.
from Dr. Rasha Eldeeb.
I love her work. She's brilliant.
She is brilliant, yeah. So yeah, homeostasis,
Yes.
keeping our bodies in balance.
Yep.
This is the stuff that
It's going on all the time.
all the time without us even knowing.
Right. It's the stuff we take for granted.
Right, yeah.
Until it goes wrong.
Exactly.
And we're like, whoa, what's happening?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe to start off, like, what exactly is homeostasis?
So homeostasis, well, the best way to think about it is like, imagine your body as this like finely tuned machine.
Okay.
Right. And it needs to stay within a very specific range to function properly. So everything from your body temperature to your blood sugar levels to the pH of your blood.
So it's not just like one thing. It's like
It's not just one thing.
like lots of things.
Yeah. It's like a whole bunch of different factors, but
Okay.
all need to be in balance
Okay.
for your body to work properly. So
Yeah.
you can kind of think of it like a thermostat for your body.
Like a thermostat.
Yeah, just like a thermostat in your house, keeps the temperature just right.
Mm-hmm.
Homeostasis keeps all these different things in your body in a nice, happy range.
Okay, so we're talking temperature, but what other kinds of things are on this just right list?
Oh, so many things. So, like I said, blood sugar, that's a big one.
Okay.
Blood pressure,
Okay.
the balance of fluids and electrolytes, which are like minerals in your body.
Okay.
And even things like the concentration of gases in your blood,
Oh, wow.
like oxygen and carbon dioxide.
So it's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It is. So what happens if one of these things gets out of whack?
That's when things start to go wrong.
Okay.
So if your blood sugar gets too high, for instance, that can lead to diabetes.
Okay.
And if it gets too low, you could faint
Oh, wow.
or have seizures.
Okay.
And if your body temperature gets too high, that's obviously a fever,
Mhm.
which is your body's way of fighting off infection.
Okay.
But if it gets too high for too long, that can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
So basically, any imbalance in these carefully controlled factors can cause problems.
So it's super important to keep it all balanced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, how does it actually do that? Like keep everything balanced?
So there are basically two main systems that work together
Okay.
to maintain homeostasis.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the nervous system
Okay.
and the endocrine system.
And the endocrine now, is that like the hormones?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
The endocrine system is all about hormones.
Okay, perfect.
And, we've even got a handy table in our notes here
Yeah, we do.
that kind of lays it all out.
Okay.
So let's see.
Yeah, looks good.
So the nervous system, that's our body's rapid response system, right?
Okay.
It uses electrical signals to send messages really quickly
Right.
between different parts of the body.
Good.
And the endocrine system, on the other hand, is a little bit slower,
Okay.
but it uses hormones, which are chemical messengers
Okay.
that travel through the bloodstream
Okay.
to target specific cells and organs.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So they kind of work together, but in different ways.
Yeah, like a dynamic duo,
Okay.
working together to keep everything in check.
Okay, I like it.
So, for instance, if you touch something hot,
Hmm.
your nervous system is what makes you pull your hand away instantly
Okay.
before you even consciously feel the pain.
So that's the nervous system.
That's the nervous system.
Right.
Super fast reflexes.
Okay.
And then your endocrine system might click in a little bit later to release hormones that help regulate your body's response to the burn.
Interesting.
So they're both working together,
Okay.
but on different timelines.
Okay, so that's how they keep us safe from like immediate dangers.
Exactly.
But what about keeping those like internal things balanced?
Well, that's where we get into the fascinating world of feedback mechanisms.
Ooh, feedback mechanisms. Sounds fancy.
It is. But it's actually a pretty simple concept. Your body's constantly monitoring all those internal conditions.
Mhm.
And it uses feedback mechanisms to either enhance or reduce certain actions
Okay.
to keep things stable.
Okay, so kind of like checks and balances.
Exactly.
I like it.
And there are two main types of feedback mechanisms:
Yeah.
negative feedback and positive feedback.
Okay. So which one's in charge of keeping things like stable?
Well, actually, they both play a role.
Oh.
But negative feedback is definitely the more common one
Okay.
when it comes to maintaining homeostasis.
Okay.
Like the primary mechanism for stability.
Okay. So how does negative feedback work?
So imagine like a thermostat again. That's a
Yeah.
great example of negative feedback.
Okay.
If the temperature in your room gets too high,
Mm-hmm.
the thermostat senses that and turns on the air conditioning
Okay.
to cool it down.
Right.
And then once the temperature reaches the desired level,
Mhm.
the thermostat shuts off the AC.
Okay.
So it's basically a system that counteracts change
Okay.
to bring things back to a set point.
Okay. So how does that translate to our body?
Okay, so let's take blood sugar as an example.
Okay.
When you eat something sugary, your blood sugar levels rise, right?
Right.
And your pancreas detects that increase,
Mm-hmm.
and it releases insulin,
Yeah.
which is a hormone that helps your cells take up glucose from the blood.
Okay.
So that lowers your blood sugar back down to a normal level.
Okay. And then what?
And then, as your blood sugar levels drop,
Mm-hmm.
your pancreas stops releasing insulin.
Okay.
So it's a constant back and forth. A delicate balancing act.
I get it.
Yeah,
Like a seesaw.
exactly, like a seesaw.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's happening all the time for all sorts of things in your body.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it is.
Okay. So negative feedback's like the steady, reliable guy,
Exactly.
keeping everything in check.
Yep.
So what about this positive feedback?
All right, so positive feedback is a little bit different.
Okay.
Instead of counteracting change, it actually amplifies it.
Wait, so it makes the change bigger?
Yeah. It actually pushes the system further away from its starting point.
Okay, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? Like,
So
doesn't that move
Yeah.
us further away from that balance
We would.
that we want?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
But actually, there are certain situations where you need that big change to happen quickly.
Okay.
And that's where positive feedback comes in.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. The best example is childbirth.
Yeah.
So during labor, when the baby's head starts to push on the cervix, it triggers the release of oxytocin,
Okay.
which is a hormone,
Mm-hmm.
and oxytocin causes contractions,
Mm-hmm.
which then push the baby's head even harder against the cervix,
Okay.
which releases even more oxytocin,
Okay.
leading to even stronger contractions, and so on and so forth.
So it's just like getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's this positive feedback loop
Mm-hmm.
that keeps amplifying itself
Okay.
until finally the baby is born.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Why you need that big change
Right,
for that one specific goal.
exactly.
Okay.
Because it's not about maintaining a stable state, it's about driving a process to completion.
Okay, so positive feedback is like the go big or go home kind of guy.
Exactly. It's for those special occasions where you need a big push to get things done.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool.
So it sounds like our bodies are like constantly working to
Yeah.
keep everything balanced.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It really is, and we don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if we had to consciously control all of this stuff
Right.
all the time.
Like adjust our blood sugar every time we ate a cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or tell our heart to beat faster when we run.
Or regulate our temperature when we go outside.
Exactly. We'd never get anything done.
We would be exhausted.
It's crazy to think about how much is going on inside of us.
It is. It's like this whole hidden world
Yeah.
that we're just completely oblivious to until something goes wrong.
Yeah. Then we become very aware.
Right.
So I guess what I'm wondering now is, like, we've talked about how our bodies maintain this internal balance,
Mm-hmm.
but what about, like, external balance?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like in our lives, our relationships, even our environment.
Right.
Are there similar feedback loops happening there?
That's a really interesting question to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot about finding balance in our lives.
Right. Yeah.
And, maybe there are ways that we can apply
Yeah.
some of these principles of homeostasis to our external world as well.
That's a really cool thought.
It is
Yeah.
so much to think about.
So much. Well, thanks for taking us on this deep dive today.
Of course.
It was fascinating.
I always love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it for today's deep dive.
See you next time.
Stay curious, everyone.